Hey, what's up? This is Stevie B, and you're listening to and watching Music Connection Magazine right here in Stevie B Studios.
Come back home to the one who loves you more and more. So you see that it was me you were searching for. You're searching for. Baby, come back to me.
Alright, so thanks again for having us, Stevie. One of the reasons that I reached out is because you're dubbed like the king of freestyle, in my opinion. Singer, songwriter, record producer. You handle a lot of the technical aspects here. You're pretty much like a one-man band.
I'm a beast.
I know, not to say the least. How did you get started in the business?
Well, the business parts of it came later.
Right.
But I think early on in, junior high or whatever it is, everybody's singing in the bathroom and little local groups, that type of thing. High school bands, aspiring just to emulate whoever the hottest groups was in those days back in the 70s. Then, of course, you tend to want to believe that you've got this talent, to pursue it on another level. But it's tough if you don't have anybody pushing you or just giving you some type of sign or enlightenment around you. But then you take it on your own. It becomes like a solo battle. I think at some point people began to say, hey, you have something pretty special there. And me taking it on as an artist, well, that's another story, and then I'll let you ask some of those questions. But it was just me aspiring to do something probably as a singer or a producer, but you don't really know where you're going to land. You throw a lot of stuff out there. It's when you go into college or whatever, you're there to try to find yourself until you find something that sticks. So a few things stuck with me later on.
So again, you pretty much spearheaded the freestyle era. What were some of your influences coming up that helped shape your sound?
What shaped my sound had to be, all of those 60s and 70s bands that I listened to. I mean, I listened from Peter Frampton to Earth, Wind and Fire, Lionel Richie, Frank Sinatra. I listened to all music. There's one thing about me. If you go through my iPod or through my iPad, you would be shocked to what I listen to, and actually what I love to listen to. I think all of that music influenced, probably in a subliminal way. I mean, when I'm sitting here writing, I'm not necessarily thinking about them, but it literally and probably formulated my tastes. You don't know what you're going to like. It's like with a girl or friends or whatever. You never know what you're going to like. Then all of a sudden you'll be like, damn, I'm freaky like that. You see what I'm saying? So musically, I was really freaky like that. I mean, I listened to some really crazy stuff. So those influences, probably through all my cultural surroundings, probably had something to do with me doing stuff with harmonies and stuff like that. Then, of course, being in Miami helped me with the Latino-based stuff, But I think all of it put me in sort of like this melting pot, and it probably influenced me in a big way without me even knowing it.
Definitely. Okay, so you pretty much had many hits in your catalog. How did the Nightmare on Freddy Krueger Street come about?
How you even know about that? How would you even possibly even know I did that? Somebody been doing some research, man.
Yeah, and is that Robert England on the track?
No, on The Voice?
Yeah.
That's me.
That's you, all the way.
Yeah, I'm Freddy Krueger on that track.
Okay.
So I tell you, I lived in Miami, and MCADE had a song, and he was talking shit and all, and he's used that voice, So since I'm in Miami too, and I know that record was big, I sort of responded to him. So if you notice, I talk about him and his DJ during that whole record. I'm just talking smack. and it's fun. And I know Adrian, and I know his father, and they own Foresight Records. So it was really just I got to tell you, it was just a novice thing that I did in the studio one day. I was just programming the beats, and I said, I'm going to do that voice. You know, you could pitch the voice.
Right.
And I just became Freddy Krueger, and lo and behold, now they never did anything here. In Brazil, it blew up. I mean, they just like all that, just that weird stuff, you know. But this is funny that you even say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really freaky.
Definitely. So you're into horror movies a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm into it. You know, that was just a one-off thing that I did just to answer him. It was sort of like our battle. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't you know, trying to do no Stevie B battling ADE. He's a rapper, mm-hmm. you know. But that was one of my what do you say, my AKA names, mm-hmm. Okay. You know, nice. That I did in one of my little silent projects.
Okay, cool. So I know we talked about your current project. Can you just expand on that?
Well, the current project is a spin-off of many things. And I think any artist or producer worth his weight in gold and understanding have to know that you have to be multi-talented and multitasking all the time and trying to figure out how this business of entertainment and talent works. And being able now to own your own delivery systems, own your own creative systems. I mean, just by you having that camera alone puts you in a class that 20 years ago they didn't even have. Having that understanding how the system works, I think is paramount in trying to recreate yourself all the time and keep yourself relative. So I had to learn all of it, from the creative part to the technical part to the business parts. And currently the new King of Hearts album is really a takeoff of the book. So I did a book called The Journey of the Perfect Man, which is my memoirs, and it's an autobiography. But I did a audio book where I narrated all 350 pages in the studio, and then we scored it like a movie. So I offered that as a new product line where most artists are waiting for somebody to, you know, ghostwrite or tell their story, and it never gets told correctly. So what I wanted to do was, for the record and for history, I wanted to be able to tell my story of my life. And most people didn't know my life before, quote unquote, Freddy Krueger or Stevie B, Party Your Body, that kind of stuff. They didn't know I did a group called BVSMP. There's quite a few things that I did before then. A group called Friday, a song I had called Boy Toy. There's quite a few things, but they don't know my personal history. You know, one of the biggest questions that I ask, and I'm getting to that point of what I'm working on now. That was your question. Mm-hmm. I'm working, well, it's finished, and it took me back to try to capture how I was conceived, because I get asked this question: what's your nationality? Everybody wanted to know if I'm Puerto Rican, Dominican, Mexican, Brazilian, and I won't give you the answer. You have to get the book. So, but this is a part of that current project, telling that story, because people see you in just, you know, these little segments, and they think that's your whole life. It's not my whole life. And I wasn't, let me see, I didn't get my first hit until I probably was 27, 28 years old, which is pretty late in the game. So when you see Stevie B with the goatee and the big hair, right. I was a little older dude, you know, creating them little styles, you know what I mean? But the current project has captured pre-Stevie B, the Stevie B that pretty much everybody saw in the public, and then I would say post radio driven, hit driven Stevie B, in the public eye Stevie B, and then that post career and now I'm, you know, the entrepreneur, the businessman, the technology. I'm a geek. Most of the time, you came in and I was working on IP addresses and setting up routers and stuff like that. So the current project is a mesh between all of these things. I mean, being able to just come in the studio and just come in and just write. This is a so beautiful song. You are so beautiful, and I wanna tell you, girl. So just to come in here and write and produce and run over there and do a switcher and, you know, run this camera, that's the current project. People can see me on the live application worldwide, setting up pay-per-view systems. That's the current Stevie B. So it's not only what I'm going to give you, but you'll have an appreciation that by you even being able to see me, it's sort of like if you saw me on VH1 or NBC and ABC, you can say that motherfucker on his own network. We seeing him on his own network, in his own studio, streaming through his own technology, selling it directly to us, and now he getting the damn money. And this was the problem. All of these elements were not in our hands, and now artists who are just natural entrepreneurs are resolving some of those big walls that stood between us and getting to our public. So that's what I've been resolving, and that's what this current project, you say my current project, you know, hopefully I've shown you that my current project is probably 20 things at once. Doing the live pay-per-view event that I told you about. You know, we're still doing the live concerts, owning the concert where the revenue comes to us. So those tools were out of our hands. Now the universe says, hey, I'm going to level the playing field, and let's see who the smartest of you will be able to put all of these little pieces of the puzzle together and then create an empire from that. Sorry to be so winded.
No, that's cool.
On that particular answer.
So
I'll keep them shorter.
No,
next
cool.
one.
But did you just learn by doing?
Yeah, because you know, when you read the book or you hear the book, you'll hear how the powers that be, when you get into a disagreement with them, how easy it is for them to just cut you. How graphic can I be in your?
As graphic as you want.
Okay. So when you got these boys who are ready to blacklist you whenever you want and you don't agree with doing it their way, even though they had nothing to do with creating you, your style, and what you develop, your brand, but because they're in place and they run it from back to front. I mean, at some point we were doing physical CDs, cassettes. They were bootlegging. They were doing the positive, which was making you big and doing it, but they were doing the dirt too at the same time. So those of us that came into the business naive, when you talk about the music business, we didn't understand that these were they're just lawyers and gangsters. Now, so I'll say this, that's why I understood when the rappers come in like that, they know that a lot of those street dudes knew that they was dealing with gangsters who was nothing but gangsters. So gangsters run the whole business. So us naive people that's coming in that just want to create and write, that purity, didn't understand that they were dealing with devils a lot of times. And that's how they end up. I mean, I'm just going to say it how it is. And they were beating us back and forth. So we were at a disadvantage before we even walked into the door. Because you walking in all giddy, you know, you excited about getting your first deal, and not understanding that these people had done cut you and sliced you and diced you before record one ever came out. You were already beat. But where they cut you with a fine laser, you cut, but you don't even know you cut. And then next thing you know, you see the body just melt down to the ground. And a lot of artists are already cut and melting, and they don't realize they're cut until 2 or 3 years later. They were bleeding, and by the time they go and try to reach back and get some of the wealth, you're dead. You say, well, I'm tired, where's my money? They're like, what money? We paid you your advance. You mean, what advance? You didn't know you were going to pay the advance back from your dime. You know, you think you get an advance, it's going to come off the top and we're going to split the rest, right? No. You're going to pay back the advance. You're going to pay for everything. And they're going to make 95%. And the 5 you get, you have to pay for everything. So when do you ever think you're going to see a dollar with those kind of those kind of calculations? So we don't know. We don't get it. So your question was, why did I have to learn everything? I was compelled to try to, after I recovered. See, we didn't talk about the recovery. And I went through a major fall. I broke down. And not understanding, I didn't even realize I was breaking down. I was just exhausted, beat, abused, used, and thrown into the ditch for death. But they don't know what I know. And they don't know what I believe in my spirit and in my heart. So they was dealing with another creature with me. So just from those circumstances, a little bit of it I gave you. I don't want to give away the whole movie, you know.
Right.
It forced me to say I have something more to offer. I'm just not going to throw in the towel. That's what they want you to do. They want you to die ugly. And I said, I'm going to learn. Even back in like 97, 98, I knew the internet was coming, and I was getting an understanding on what the possibilities would be. I was more intrigued about the possibilities when the box here, it's called the Trinity box, and Globecaster, that was a TV station in the box. That's what it used to, you know. Now it's a smaller thing now. But I began to learn what this internet was going to do, and then I just really just engulfed myself into learning and trying to get an understanding to try to at least be on the forefront of it. And a lot of times, you know, we're getting those old Cadillacs that the wealthy are throwing away. And by the time we can get it, they don't have much value. So by the time we catch on to technologies and things of that nature, there's stuff that they're throwing away. I wanted to be on the front lines of something. And then I wanted to be able to be a creator of it and a deliverer of it, and then a receiver of the benefits. So I engulfed myself into trying to get an understanding. You know, most lawyers that work and they have to work for me now, because I understand the law and a little bit understanding how it works, business and how it works, technology and how it works. So now I'm working on delivering, and that's what the King of Hearts is. It was my first offering. The Journey of the Perfect Man is the book. That's one of my offerings. You watching me through the technology here, that's one of my offerings. You see the studio here, that's one of my offerings. All of these things, and there's a lot more products already ready to come through. So that's what compelled me to learn all these things. And then once that fire gets lit, just like anything else, your brother, you know, you say works in construction, your brother's work. Once you get tied into one of these things, it just makes you want to learn more and more. You say, man, I didn't know that was connected to that and that connected to that. You say, well, then why stop? Learn it all.
Definitely. So where can people find you online?
First is StevieBmusic.com. They can go there and they can search through and browse through Dance Party Radio, which I own, SBTV, which is live TV on all mobile devices. They can go and see all of the nostalgic stuff. So Stevie B Music really is focusing on just like that Stevie B Museum. The image of it is a little bit older. It's got my older albums and stuff like that. Of course, they can see me on Facebook. And the site that you really want to go on is Stevie B ! Somebody took the Stevie B one. You know, I'll fight for it later on. Just as plain Stevie B. So of course people get it and try to take the name and the brand, but I ain't worried about it. But Stevie B ! on Facebook. That's the other site you can't get on, my Stevie B Hill one. And pretty much you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Stevie B Music. Just search me, you'll find me. And they can go, of course, in the App Store and get the Stevie B app. That's what you really want to do. So, and of course, in iTunes and Google Play, you can find all the music.